How's it going, internets? I hope you're having a lovely day. It's that time again. It's time to get into some animation, time to get that imagination all cranked up, get into some creativity, and it's time to get inspired. And today's inspiration comes from Andrew Howe. And if you're not familiar with his work, check right over here. He is a concept artist and video game art director and Imagineer, and phenomenal work. I just love his use of imagination in each one of his character designs. He's got a really beautiful grasp of color. I love the way that he renders things. He goes through and does in a vein that I personally am drawn to, where there's both a roughness to his work and also a tightness, which seems like contradictory, but what it says, rather than doing a perfect single line, you can tell that there's a rough quality and a bunch of sketchiness behind it that he just tightens up, but still leaves a lot of that original work and underlying layers in his work, and I think it works completely well. Again, his composition, his coloring, all of these things are top notch, and it really just goes to show off his phenomenal imagination. Beyond that, and I think that's really a key thing to look at, is to try and master these skills as well as you can each and every time you approach a new project, in order to hopefully rebuild those things that you imagine and that you think of in as close a connection as you can. So let's take a look at a quote that I found from him, and it was, "All it takes is time and just practice, practice, practice." And I know for just my own personal experience, I think that's completely true. When you first start out in any sort of medium, you think like, oh, well, I'll spend a couple weeks and then I'll start understanding it and I'll just learn how to do it, like it's learning how to drive almost, where, that takes, a couple weeks for most people, a couple months maybe, and then you learn how to drive. But in creative mediums, it's not really built that same way. It's not like you just learn to press this button and press that button and this is the magic, knobs you have to turn in the right order and then it just all works. It's not that way. You can look at even some people who have been doing this for a long time, and they'll tell you the same thing, that there's just days where it just doesn't flow. It doesn't work. They're not in the zone. It doesn't mean that their stuff is bad, but it's not as good as days as when it just clicks, everything clicks, and so I think it's all about that, not rushing it, allowing this journey to take place, allowing it to be what it is. Oh, we're having a party back here. All right, I'll let her stay. And just enjoying it and practicing as much as you can, taking as much time as you can to do it, and so let's go ahead and get into some animation. We've got a whole little kitty party going on behind me tonight. This is the cartoon truck rig. It's a free rig you can grab over at Creative Crash, and if you're not familiar with what we'll be doing for the rest of the video, we give ourselves 48 frames, it's 2 seconds of animation. I go off and I find a rig that I've never used before. It's a free resource for you guys to play around with as well, and we kind of go from there. A little bit of instruction or guidance or talking through the process. But most of all, the goal of doing these videos is kind of harken back to what Andrew was saying before, is to hopefully encourage and inspire you guys to put in that time and put in that practice in your own work, whatever medium it is, to hopefully grow and enhance yourself and take another step down that journey each and every day. So let's go ahead and dive in. So I was thinking for this one, we'll just really play it up and have some fun. I usually tend to, they're having fun back there, to like doing inanimate objects because there's no real right or wrong way to approach adding personality and playfulness to them. So let's just have some fun. Let's go ahead and set our frame range from 0 to 48 here. We'll go ahead and pull that down a little bit here. Raise that up a little bit. And this one as well. And what about this? It's a rotation of the wheels. I think I'll leave those where they are for right now. And maybe we'll do a little bit of rotate here just so it's not completely stock to what it was before. And we'll add a little bit of rotate here as well. And we'll go ahead and pull that up a little bit higher, then drop it a little bit. And we'll do something like that. Maybe we'll go a little bit more up here and up there. Okay, so let's start with something like that. And let's go ahead and just grab everything here, make sure we just have our NURB curves, NURB surfaces, and polygons selected, and we'll go ahead and set our first key. And then let's figure out, now we're going to want to do some bounce on this, but what speed? I want to play around with our timing for this one. So let's do everything on 10s instead of 12s. Is that too fast? Yeah, let's cut it, make it a little bit faster. So let's switch to 50 frames, just so that we have a good cycle that we can work on. And let's do this every 5 frames. We'll do a little bit of down, a little bit of up, a little bit of down, a little bit of up, a little bit of down, a little bit up, down, up, down, and then back again. Okay, and let's look at our animation editor's graph editor. Let's look at our translate Y's here and make sure these are going to cycle all right. We've got it okay. And again, this is going to be something that's a little more playful and not really a defined approach to how we're going to do this. So kind of experiment and see what works and see what's fun. And that's why I tend to like doing these ones, like I said before, because there's no real formula for how to do it right or wrong. Okay, do that, and then we'll go take the front end and we'll have it go up here, and then we'll go 10 frames for that, which will be 14, and we'll have it go down there. No, we want to go 5 frames, right? Yeah. So we'll go 9. We'll have it go down, so let's see. And then we'll go back up here, just so it's a little bit different timing. Like I said, one thing that I did want to play around, since we don't have a ton of controls, is to play around with the timing a little bit more than I normally would. And let's bring it back up, and back down, back up, and loop back here. And let's see how we like that. And I'm going to go down here a little bit. So let's see. A little bit too much, so let's tone it down. Let's give it 1 more frame, so we'll have it go on 3. And we'll have this other one go on 2. Maybe we'll go on, yeah, let's try it on 2. And then up here, down there, up here, down there, up here, down there, up, down, up, then back again. Let's see how that works. Feels like it needs to be a frame later. Maybe a little bit less up. Feels like it's a little too much up. So let's take all of that and we'll just squash it down a little bit more. Let's see. Maybe too much down now. So we'll just minimize minimize it, I guess, overall. Let's see. And let's go ahead and push it back overall up a little bit higher. Okay. Do we have any? It'd be kind of fun to do a little bit up and down there. We'll see. See as we go. What are we going to do about the wheels? How are we going to approach those? Actually, let's go here. Go down here. And go up here. Down there. Up here. Down there. Up here. Down. And up. And down. And up. And back again. Let's see. Okay. Now, we're kind of losing a little bit of the front end bounce. Feels like it's not doing as much because of kind of the counter animation, I guess, on the top controller. So let's be aware of that. Let's see. So I feel like we need to amp that up so we can really feel it now. And put a little more down as well. Now it does feel like it's a little too busy still up at the front, so let's try and scale that back a little bit more. And let's also tone down the overall up and down a little bit more here. So scale it back here and there. Let's see. And let's go ahead and do a little bit of rotate X this way, and then that way, this way, that way, this way, that way, that way, and then back again. Maybe we'll delay that. Maybe we'll just minimize it. It does feel like it's a little too focused downward though, so I'll have to adjust that a little bit more. Let's see. Let's bring them back a little bit more. Yeah, let's crank up the up and down a little bit more on that. Now, what should we do with the wheels here? I want to do something with them. Do probably a little bit of this. And then flip to the other side. And then over again. Actually, let's try doing that on 5s. So start out here. And we have the down. Let's watch it now. Can't do it that way because that's too. It wouldn't cycle right. Darn. Okay. So, what other approach could we take? We'll zero it out here. Guess we could just do a little bit of up and down here. What if we did is our rotate X? Because I want to do something with these wheels so they don't feel so locked up here. So let's take, maybe we can counter animate it with this one here. So at 5, the wheels could go up here. And then go back and forth. And we'll try to keep this fairly even, just so that we can counter animate with the bottom controller there, or the main cog. So we can get some movement in those wheels. So let's see. What if we did it the other way around? So it actually went down instead. So down there. Let's see. Let's look at that. We do that, but then I think we'd have to flip this, right? So we could get that stretch and squash here, so it'd be like, and then we'd have to really go down here. So let's try that, and we'll push this down further. Nah, I like it the other way around. I do feel like this needs to go down a little bit further when it goes down. So let's crank it a little bit more. And let's scale it back, and let's scale back the wheels as well. Feels like that's a little too busy. Just want a little bit of that. And then let's go here, and we want to push this cog up so that we're not intersecting with the ground plate in there. That's actually a little bit lower. And we'll go back again. This is that counter animating, where we take one cog and move it one way, and the other cog and move it the opposite, so that you can kind of find something in between there. Kind of create your own constraint or movement that you can get there. Maybe we'll tilt that down a little bit more because I feel like the wheels are losing a little bit there. Get a little bit of lift off here. Then what if we did the opposite? So the front wheels would go, the back wheels would go up when the front wheels wheels went down. So it looks like. So those back wheels would actually kick pretty much up off the ground there. Then we could have the front wheels go up higher every other one. Let's see. Maybe we'll do it on every single one. Maybe we'll just go inverse, but we'll just do it differently. Let's hide our nerd curves for a second and see how it feels. And let's show this one again. Let's just not have it intersect so much with the ground plane. So let's take those translate Y's. We can have it lift off the ground. It's not that big a deal. And let's turn our curves off again, and let's see that. Alright, now let's see if we can't do a little bit of that on the wheels now. So a little bit there, 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 and then zero out again. Just so we can add some more fun to those wheels so they don't feel so stiff, since we don't have like an actual forward and back rotate. So let's see. I think we need to actually go for another 10 frames, so we need to do 60 frames, I think. Just so that we can cycle correctly, because right now you're just repeating part of it. So let's key that, bring that back down there. That way it'll cycle right. Okay, but now we need to do another cycle on everything else here. So just take what we have there, bring it there. Take what we have there, bring that there. Let's see. And look at our translate Y's here. Make sure we're still going there. Go to 5, key that. Bring that down. Set that. This is like what, every 5 frames here, so 53, we'll keep that again. Up again. And 58. Keep that. Bring that back down. And look at our rotate X. Keep that. And keep that. And delete that one. Let's watch it now. Then we got to do the back portion here. We didn't really do that, so let's take that original one so that we can get that loop going. Let's look at our translate Y. And we're going to finish this loop off a little bit more. And keep that one, bring that back up. Like wheels, and we'll go the opposite way, so those will rotate here, and then there, 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 there. Oh, 0 mounts, let's see. Let's turn our curves off so I can see that, see how it feels when it's going a little more. And let's tone down that rotate Z a lot. Just don't feel like it's working as well as I wanted it to. But that's okay. So I'll go ahead and delete that. And we'll just scale this back to about half of what it is now. Feels like it's got some potential there, but just too much of that. And let's look at the front wheel here. And still want to scale this one back as well. Here. And let's turn our curves off just so I can see how it's actually interacting with the ground plane again. There we go. Got a little hint of that, and that feels okay now. Okay, and let's go ahead and show this one here. Let's do a little bit of back and forth here. Back again. Let's translate why it looks like that's where we missed finishing up for our cycle here. I knew there was something that I didn't hit, and it was this controller, so I'm glad we went back in there. Okay, let's look at that rotate X, and we'll even that out a little bit more. And probably tone it down a lot too. So let's scale it back, just to give a little bit of weeble wobbliness to our bounce here. Let's see. There we go. And let's also do a little bit of rotate here, and then there, there, and then back again. Just so we get a little bit of side to side there as well. And same with the back end here. Let's go. When do we do this on? We did that on 5s, right? So we'll go 6 here. Rotate Z. Rotate Z, just so our timing varies a little bit more from front to back as well. Let's see that now. Okay, and maybe we'll do a little bit of side to side here as well. So go and sway that over there, sway that over there, out there, back again, back again, back, and then back to where we started. Let's see. Let's turn our curves off. Let's see how it feels. possibly be? Yeah, see? This is the problem here. We want to make sure if we just took this and just kicked it down just a little bit more. See if that would make it feel a little more grounded. It does, but it feels a little too much now. So let's see. Just so like those bottom treads kind of intersect. That would probably sell it enough. It'd be cool if we could actually rotate these wheels so it would look like it's going rather than, let's see, is there any hidden controller here or anything we're missing? Let's get into the outliner here and see if we get. Looks like it's all connected. Sometimes they axles. Okay. Now what can I do here? Can I rotate that? Ooh, no, that's not what I want to do. No. We could do a little bit of that though. So let's set that here. And on 3, push that down. Yeah, let's keep it just with 5s for right now. And we'll go back. That might give us that little bit more bounce that we want. Let's see. Then we'll have to go back to the root controller and ground it back down a little more here. Let's see if we like that or not. Okay, and again, let's go here. Now we want to crank these guys back up even more. We gotta make it so that that is not as down in the ground here, so. Let's see, that's probably too much. Okay, so let's take the up and down out of the wheels themselves. Let's look at it this way. I don't want the axles to be so much up there, so let's see. Let's crank that down lower. Let's see. ones just need to come down a little bit more. I don't feel like they're intersecting hardly at all. So let's grab this guy. Just take the translate Y and we'll just crank it down a little bit more. Maybe we just need to do a little bit of rotate X here. Let's see. And then we'll go 20. We'll bring that forward again. And 30. We'll bring that forward again. Actually, 30 should be up there. And 40. Bring it here. And 50. We'll bring that up. And 60. And we'll bring that back again here. Let's see if that feels a little bit better. Maybe I like that the back goes a little bit more than the front. Maybe I'll tone down the rotate Z's on the front as well. Let's turn our nerve curves off so I can see how that kind of interacts with the ground. Let's tone down this front as well. Just feels a little too over animated here. Even though this is a cartoony truck, we don't need it to be too much, so let's see. These front ones just don't really intersect the ground, so I wonder what's going on here. Let's tweak with that axle some more. See if we can't get it that way. Let's just pull it down a little bit more. Feels a little better at least. Now let's just crank this overall down a little bit lower. And then we'll rotate the back end up a little bit more. Let's see if that fixes it. That way it has a little bit of intersection with the ground. And then overall let's just crank it up a little bit higher. Like I said, so it's just kind of the bottom of the treads there. Okay, and let's see. Let's look at these untouchables. Main car rig, wheel control, squash control. See if there's anything else we can do to play around with this thing. Show all. Is there a controller for this? Okay, yeah, we can play around with these guys a little bit more. So it's set there. And let's push them forward a little bit there. And then back. Okay, and then we'll do that just to add some more variety here. And we'll vary this up just a little bit in our graph editor as well. Let's see. Mix it up a little bit more. Happy we did that. Okay, now let's see what does this do? This is this front squash. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one. I was just hoping there would be something that we could do with these tail lights and stuff here. See if there's any other controllers that it'll let us manipulate. It doesn't feel like it. Bone structures, but it doesn't appear like it is. Okay, so I guess we can see if there's anything else we want to tweak around here. Let's see. Still feel like we need to play up those front wheels a little bit more. Raise them up. just isn't. Maybe we need to pull these up a little bit more so it's just barely making it move. Right there. And then we'll go back up a little bit. And then go down. Back up a little bit. Go back down. Just see if we can loosen up those front wheels a little bit more. I feel like the back ones are working a lot better than the front ones are. And go back again. Okay, so let's see. Alright. Maybe. Just maybe. That'll work. Then we'll do a little more rotate Z here. And then we'll rotate Z back down there. Let's see. Alright, let's crank that down, but that feels more loose now. Probably too loose. Okay, still could scale it back a little more. Let's see. Just feels so much better on the back end. Alright, so let's tone that down a little bit more. Maybe we just need a little more bounce. Okay, let's turn everything off except for our nerve surfaces, curves, and our polygons again. Let's see. Let's turn off the curves. Still feels like the front wheels just aren't working in a way that I like them. So let's scale back the rotate even more. They're finally a little bit looser, but still. So maybe let's try just doing a little bit of, isn't there some rotate Y here? Let's go that way. Just to vary them up from the back wheels even more. And maybe loosen them up even more too. And then go that way. So let's see. That's not really that great. So let's scale it back. Maybe we'll vary the timing with that too. Let's see. So what if we push it back so it was on starting at 5 and 0 out to begin with? So it'd be pretty much the same timing as the wheels are doing now. Just with a little bit of twist in there. See if that helps us a little bit. We'll scale it back. Let's delay a frame. Okay, let's scale it back. Yeah, let's do a little bit of rotate the Z here, there. Back, there again, and zero it out. Let's see. Just don't like those front wheels. The rest of it feels alright. Maybe we need to overall do more down. Let's see. Let's kick those wheels back. You can't do that. Those wheels are intersecting too much, so you just do more down here, though. Maybe less. Let's try just cranking this top a little bit lower. And maybe a little bit more up. And let's look at the wheels again. I swear, I should just crank them up. It's too far. Too far, but closer. Alright, that feels a little better finally. It's not perfect, but at least it's a little better, a little bit looser. So that's a happy little car. And then if we wanted to make it move, we could just have it go here, and then there. Let's see how that would feel. Let's make sure that we do that just if we wanted to. We don't have to, but. And if we want to get rid of our slow ins and slow outs there a little bit, let's see. So this is just a kind of a happy little bounce move cycle. And I think I'll just hold that in place. And kind of groove along. It works. It's not, probably not my, I don't know. We got some things that worked in here. Definitely a fun little rig to work with. But let's take a look back at where we started. We were looking at the beautiful work of Andrew Howe, and he said all it takes is time and just practice, practice, practice. And as we see here, definitely practice helps. So let's get some more practice in. I love you guys lots. Thanks for hanging out and subscribing and all the likes and the comments. You guys are amazing. You're wonderful. If you're watching this, remember you are the creative future. I love you guys lots. I totally believe in you. I hope you went out and, or you're going to as soon as you're done with this, and created something wonderful and amazing. And if you do, feel free to share it down below so I can give you some encouragement or some thumbs up, or if you need an extra set of eyes or whatever it is that you're looking for. But I hope you guys are having a great new year as it's working out for you, and that you set some goals for yourself and are working each and every day to fulfill those. So that being said, I think I'll wrap it up for today. Definitely a little bit different. Not exactly what I was thinking it would turn out with, but sometimes that happens with your work as well. You just kind of go with it. But it is fun. Definitely a fun one. So I love you guys lots, and we will see you for some more animation tomorrow.